Welcome students. In the previous class, we understood what are the features, what are the importance and what are the problems of Indian agriculture in the Indian economy. Today I am going to teach you what are the agrarian reforms or reforms in agriculture sector that are taken by the government to tackle the problem of Indian agriculture. Government has taken a series of reforms measures since independence. What are those agrarian reforms? Agrarian reforms are categorized in three categories. First is technical reforms, next is institutional reforms, or it is also called land reforms, and third type of reforms are general reforms. Let us study one by one. First is technical reforms. First, in this technical reform is use of HYV seeds, that means high yielding variety of seeds. High yielding variety of seeds, especially of wheat, rice, bajra, maize, cotton, have led to the substantial rise in the crop productivity. And this substantial rise in the crop productivity, popularly known as Green Revolution. For the promotion of growth and development of high yielding variety of seeds, government has set up the National Seed Corporation. So to enhance the crop productivity, chemical fertilizers are also being used extensively. So this is the second technical reform that has been taken by the government to enhance the crop productivity. Next is use of insecticides and pesticides to protect the crops against the diseases and insects. See, crops are very much prone to the diseases. That is why insecticides and pesticides are very much required to protect them from any diseases. For plant protection, integrated pest management program was also adopted along with the high yielding variety of seeds of technology. Second, next is scientific farm management practices. What is scientific farm management practices? The scientific methods of farming such as selection of crops and their quality, preparation of soil, rotation of crops, selection of seeds and use of fertilizers. All these scientific method comes under the scientific farm management practices. For all these, government came up with the program, that is the integrated agricultural development program, and this program has been launched in 1964 and 1965. So for all these scientific management, government came up with this program. And also there are about 23 agriculture universities that are engaged in promoting the research on the scientific cultivation. These are the programs has been taken by the government. Next reform in this category is mechanized means of cultivation. What does it mean? It means that cheap credit facilities are provided by cooperative societies. What are cooperative societies? These are the voluntary association of individuals that are having common needs, and these individuals join together so that they could achieve their common interest. So these kind of cooperative societies, small and marginal farmers agencies, regional rural banks and commercial banks are providing credit facilities so that the small farmers could buy agricultural machines. Next type of reform that has been taken by the government to enhance the productivity of the agriculture sector are the institutional reforms, or these reforms are also called land reforms. First reform in this category is abolition of intermediaries. What are those intermediaries? These are the zamindars. These zamindars are exploiting the cultivators. That is why government abolished this zamindari system, and the ownership rights has been given to the cultivator, those who are actually cultivating the soil, so that these exploitation of the cultivators by the zamindars has been stopped. So basically land is given to the tiller, those who are actually working on them. So next is the regulation of rent. To put an end to excessive and illegal extortion from cultivators, So rent has been fixed by the government. Generally, it is fixed one third of the value of crops, so that the zamindars or the other intermediaries does not exploit the cultivators. So this rent has been fixed for that purpose. Next is consolidation of holdings. See, what was the problem in the agriculture sector was that the farmers has very fragmented land holding. That means they have lands in different places. So what government came up with the program is they consolidated these lands. The practice to allot a land to the farmer at one place instead of different places. This practice is called consolidation of land. It decreases the fragmentation and it will save the cost of cultivation, because now the farmers have the land in one place only, so it will decrease their cost of cultivation or production. So this program has been taken by the government. Next reform in this category is ceiling on land holdings and redistribution of surplus land. What is ceiling on land holding? It is the maximum size of a land that a person or a family can hold. That means if a person having the land size beyond this maximum limit, that surplus land has to be taken from that person, and that land has to be distributed or redistributed among the small landholders and landless laborers. Then what is the purpose behind that? The purpose is for promoting the equality in the distribution of land, so that there could not be any person who is landless. So there should be equality in the economy. Next is cooperative farming. What is cooperative farming? Cooperative farming is a system in which farmers pool their resources to buy commodities such as seeds, fertilizers, or to rent out a tractor, like that. What is the purpose or what is the benefit behind it? The benefit is it is enhance the bargaining power of the small holders, and they can buy inputs at lower prices and sell their produce at higher prices. So what is the benefit in this? The benefit is each member farmer remain owner of his land individually, but farming is done jointly, and the profit, whatever the profit has is generated from the cultivation, the profit is distributed among the farmers in the ratio of land owned by them. And next benefit is pooling of land. That is a what is the benefit of that? The pooling of land increases the size of their land. Per hectare cost of production is reduced. That means two-wheel tractor, that cost of production reduced. Third category of reforms are general reforms, and in this category, first reform is expansion of irrigation facilities. As we all know that whenever the dependence upon rainfall decreases, the uncertainty in crop production also decreases. So that is why government taken several major and minor irrigation projects across different parts of the country. That is why now it is around 45% of land are under permanent means of irrigation, but it was only 17% of land that was under permanent irrigation facility in 1951. So this is the very drastic change. Then next is provision of credit. So as we all know that the basic problem of the farmer is the finance. So that is why government makes so many programs so that this problem of the farmer can be solved. For that, credit cooperative societies and regional rural banks has been established to enhance credit facilities to farmers. What are credit cooperative societies? These are nothing but the financial institutions which establish with the objective of providing loans to its member at a reasonable rate of interest. And what are regional rural banks? The regional rural banks are established in 1975 for the purpose of providing credit and other facilities to the small and marginal farmers agriculture laborers and other artisans and small entrepreneur in the rural areas. So basically regional rural banks are catering to the needs in the rural area. So these type of programs has been taken by the government. So because of that, in 1982 government established the NABARD, that is the National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development. This is to institutionalize the credit facilities to the farmer at the national level. What is the function of NABARD? There are three functions of NABARD. First is developmental function, that is, it is financing the agriculture and rural development projects. Second is refinance function, that means whatever money given by these banks, that means the credit cooperative societies or regional rural banks to farmers, these finance or these money has been refinanced by NABARD. Third function is it supervises the regional rural banks and cooperative societies on behalf of RBI. As we all know, RBI regulates all the commercial banks in the economy. So this bank, that means the regional rural banks and cooperative banks, are regulated by or supervised by the NABARD on behalf of the RBI. Third is regulated markets and cooperative market societies. What is regulated market? Regulated markets are the markets which has been established with a view to offering the remunerative prices to the farmers and protect them against exploitation by the middleman. These regulated markets are regulated by the market committees, and these market committees are further regulated or supervised by the government. What does these committees doing? These market committees ensure that there would be timely payment to the farmers, and only specified weight and measures are to be used for weighing and value the farmers produce. And what these cooperative marketing societies are doing? Cooperative marketing societies are established to enhance the bargaining power of farmers in the market, and they also ensure that the grading of farmers produce and only farmers produce sold at remunerative prices. And they also provide the provision for the storage facilities. See, the farmers having the problem of storage, that is why they are selling their produce at very lower prices. So the problem of storing their crops has been solved by the cooperative marketing societies, because they are providing or they have the provision of storage of the crops. Next program or next reform in this category is price support system. Price support system is the minimum support prices to the farmers produce. Minimum support price is the minimum price that the farmer will get of their produce. That means any surplus the farmer is producing, that surplus will be purchased by the government at minimum price when the market price is lower than that. As we all know that market price, this minimum support price is announced by the government before the sowing season, and they ensure the farmer that whatever produce they are whatever crops they are producing, if they are not able to sell in the market, then government can buy that produce at minimum support price. This helps the farmer in ensuring, and this is giving like a insurance to them that whatever they are producing, that will not go in vain. Next topic is achievement of agrarian reforms or the green revolution. First and foremost achievement is that due to these agrarian reforms that has been taken by the government, our agriculture has emerged to be a developing sector of the economy from the backward and stagnant sector of the economy. That is why these agrarian reforms, also known as green revolution, What is green revolution? Green revolution is a spurt in crop productivity. तो अपना जो फर्स्ट जो टॉपिक है वो है हमारा spurt in crop productivity. What does it mean? It means that the food grain production increased by nearly 25% in India, and that is why India became self-sufficient in food grain production. Second is substantial rise in acreage or area under cultivation. There are three reasons behind that. First is high yielding variety of seeds reduce the time lag between sowing and harvesting. Next reason is need for fallowing. Fallowing is like leaving the land for some time so that that land regain its natural fertility naturally. So the need for fallowing eliminated because of chemical fertilizers. Because we are using chemical fertilizers, that is why the need for fallowing, that means leaving the land for regaining its natural fertility, has been reduced, or it's say almost eliminated because of these revolutions. And third is doubling crop can be possible. That means because the area under the cultivation increased, that is why the doubling of crop can be possible due to these reforms. Third is shift from subsistence farming to commercial farmings. Because as we all know, because there is increase in output due to the increase in productivity. Productivity is increases because of these reforms. What is productivity? There is a difference between production and productivity. Productivity is maximum output with minimum input. That is the productivity. So because output increases due to the increase in productivity and increase in area under cultivation, the marketable surplus generated, and that marketable surplus prompted the farmers to shift to commercial farming rather than subsistence farming. So all these are showing the sign of growth and development of the agriculture sector. Fourth is change in farmers' outlook. Now farmers are taking the agriculture sector as a business venture rather than a subsistence farming. And next is self-sufficiency in food grain production. Because our productivity has increased drastically, that is why we can maintain buffer stock which can be used in period of less farm supply. In the period when there is no or very less farm supply, in that period, to maintain the food security in the country, we can use these buffer stocks. So these are the achievements of these agrarian reforms. Our next topic is limitations of green revolution, or what are the limitations of these agrarian reforms. Although due to the green revolution, crop productivity rises significantly, but as compared to developed nation, the rise in productivity was highly insignificant. Let's say the example of wheat and rice. In 2014, per hectare wheat production in India was 3.1 tons, but in China it was 6.5 tons per hectare, and in UK it was 9 tons per hectare. And in case of rice also, India's production in 2014 was 3.6 tons per hectare, but in China it was 6.8 hectares. So what is happening is, even though we increased our crop productivity significantly, but when we compare to developed nation, it is not that much. Our first is a limitation is limited crops. That rise in production mainly confines to wheat and rice. That means we are using mainly the high yielding variety of seeds of wheat and rice. We are using for cotton and pulses also, but the main production was increased of wheat and rice only. So there was no similar rise in production of pulses, jute, cotton, tea, etc. So this was the first limitation. Second is uneven spread of green revolution. That means some of the state benefited from the green revolution more than the another states. Like for example, states like Punjab, Haryana, Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, they made remarkable impact in case of crop productivity, but in eastern UP, Bihar, Odisha, Madhya Pradesh, impact is relatively insignificant. That means there is a disparity between different states in case of crop production. Third is limited farming population. That means in India, large number of farming population consists of small and marginal farmers. That because a high yielding variety of seeds require expensive inputs which these farmers could not afford. But the rich farming population, which is small in number, have large farming area, they can use these expensive inputs. That means they can use high yielding variety of seed technology. So the benefits of these agrarian reforms has been taken by these rich farming population rather than the large size of farming population, which is consist of small and marginal farmers. Fourth is economic divide. This agrarian reform creates the gulf between rich and poor because the rich farming population benefited from these reforms more than the small farming population. That is why the gulf between rich and poor increases drastically, and it increases the indebtedness of poor farmers, and because of that loan waivers of the government also increases, and loan waivers is not that much sufficient. That is why it leads to farmer suicide, which is the real challenge for the economy like India. So this chapter is over now. I will meet you in the next class. Till then, goodbye.